Welcome, everybody. What an amazing group of Hall of Famers we have here. Let's start with one here. Bernie Federico was recently just at a function with some season ticket holders with us, and something that Wayne, I know you were involved with as well, Bernie, but one of your All-Star games that you went to, Bernie, was, Wayne, your first All-Star game, but that also happened to be Gordie Howe's final All-Star game. What was that experience like for the two of you? What do you remember from that?
Well, it was very special for me, obviously, with Gordie Howe. I mean, Gordie Howe was the great Gordie Howe. Being from Saskatchewan, I'm a kid from Saskatchewan as well. So it was just surreal for me to be able to get the chance to be with all the great players that I'd watched when I was growing up. A lot of them were still there. A lot of the guys that were I admired when I played against them too. It was a special moment. It was a special time for me, and it's one thing I'll never forget.
Well, I remember two things. One, when they introduced Gordie, if the PA announcer didn't move on to the next thing, they'd still be clapping today. It was the most incredible ovation that I'd ever seen, and obviously well-deserving. And Gordie was 50 at that time. He got an assist that night, and I'm thinking, 50 years old, and you got an assist in the All-Star game. It's pretty remarkable. And after the game, I went to the hotel, and I saw my friends and my mom and my dad. My dad threw me a puck, and I said, "What is this for?" And he goes, "I just wanted you to see what it feels like since you didn't touch it all night." That was my memory, my first All-Star game.
That was probably the last All-Star game that happened in that scenario. Guy, it was not a long time in St. Louis, but when you're able to come into St. Louis and you're on a team that's got Al and it's got Brett and it's got Peter, what was that like for you?
Well, it's not easy because I had to cover just one guy. I was trying to cover one guy, so imagine when you have like two or three of those guys around. So obviously I had the chance to play with Brett here. It was a short stint. It was a lockout year, but it was really fun to be here and know the people in St. Louis. But again, same thing when I play against Wayne and Al and all those guys.
I have a question for you. Was it harder to cover us on the ice or cover up for us off the ice?
Only had the chance to do that with you, so I would say off the ice.
Ask that same question to Al.
Actually, I don't know how many people know this, but Mr. Caron did hire a private investigator to follow Hully. He did. And unfortunately, the guy came back 3 days later and quit. Says he couldn't do it anymore. He didn't get any sleep for 3 days. So that could be your answer.
Peter, welcome back. Over a 2-year stretch and not a whole lot of games with the St. Louis Blues, but this quickly became home for you, didn't it?
No, absolutely, and loving it from the day one. But I like to couple points because I'm looking. We have 4 centermen here, and 3 of us were offensive centermen, and Guy was when he started, he was purely defense. And man, I just feel sorry for myself because Wayne saw him a lot, Bernie saw him a lot, but I had to play with him in the same division. Can you imagine we had 18 games one season, 18. Like 3 exhibitions, 7 playoff, and 8 regular season games. Man, you don't want to play. Look at those days. Who was the best Vezina trophy for goaltending? Always Montreal, because they have people like Carbonneau and Gainey and so forth. But hey, loving him being here. And I have to also add a little bit. When I see Prong, I still remember him. SOB. Hartford Whalers. Hartford Whalers, also in our division. Man, I think his middle name is like whatever. Chris/crosscheck Pronger. Just, man, I feel him a lot still even today. So happy to be in St. Louis. This is very peaceful city, and my family loves it here.
Chris, really, at what point did you realize that nastiness in the game was going to give you all the room and basically create who you were?
Probably Adam. Hockey.
4th grade?
Yeah, I think I was in grade 2. I just always played that way. I was just, my mom's from Finland. She's got a pretty good temper, so I think I get it from that side, and just always enjoyed that side of the game. Just It was just part of the way I played, and it pissed off a lot of people on the other team. And I like seeing people pissed off, so it was great.
Wayne, I'll give you this, Mike, while they haven't you get like, what was it like knowing that when you were playing against the Blues at that point in time, there was a chance that an Al McKinnon slap shot could get you, or Chris Pronger was standing in front of the net?
Well, Al and I got a chance to play a lot together because of the Edmonton-Calgary rivalry. So trust me, I never went near his shot. I was way smarter than that. But like Peter said about Guy, Bernie said that Dan Daouz here, he had him every game, and I had Bob Basson every game. So we all know the feeling, Peter. You know, I just wanted to take a second and say the one thing I learned about being a professional hockey player was that the one thing we all have in common is one day we're going to be ex-players and we're all going to be alumni. And when you're playing, you don't think of that. It's one of those things, oh, yeah. But it happens to all of us. And the greatest thing about our game is the people who are in the game. And I was fortunate enough to be part of the top 100 players a couple years ago in LA. And the one thing that I found in meeting all the players and all the families is that we were all the same. Everybody grew up listening to Hockey Night in Canada. Everybody grew up watching Hockey Night in Canada. So whether it was Jacques Plante or Bobby Orr or Bernie Federico, we all had idols as we grew up. And that's what makes our game wonderful. And I just wanted to say that two people who are here, I know there's a lot of alumni here, but two of the guys that really were a big part of the success of getting hockey going in St. Louis, Mr. Plager and Gary Younger are here today, so I wanted to make sure we recognize them.
Brett, this has always been a special place when it comes to not only the players on the ice, but the alumni as well, and the relationships that have continued for years after you guys have left the ice, and the fun that you guys still have.
Well, it's a tribute to the people of the city and the city itself, that the number of players that played here, that remain here and stay here and raise their families. And I mean, it's proven over and over again, and that's why it's a special spot. And you know, for Tom to put together the team to win a Stanley Cup last year, I don't think anything could be better for the sports fans of this city, because you know, there's a lot of great hockey teams, hockey franchise, and hockey fans. You tip your hat to the people of this city. It's really magnificent.
Guy, give us your perspective, if you don't mind, real quick, on Brett Hull adjusting to Ken Hitchcock hockey.
Oh my God.
Seamless. Seamless.
Yeah, it's like it went really fast. I mean, it was hockey. Ken was a tough. I know Terry, you know, Al talked about it, but Ken was the same way. Like, he wanted things done his way. He didn't believe in people letting down. At the end of the day, all he wanted to was to win. So I'm a little easier. Brett is a little, you know, quicker on saying things. So he had a little bit more arguments with him than I did. But, you know, at the end of the day, I think it's the same thing. Everybody wants to win.
All of us who played when the transition from the game changed, when Jacques Lemaire brought in the trap with Jersey, every single guy that used to play the freewheeling kind of, you know, do what you want offensive, and, you know, third guy high, pick up a wing, and you back check, and now everything changed. If you didn't change, you were not going to be in the league very long. So you had to, I guess, as they say with the dinosaurs, you had to adapt, or you weren't going to play in the league. And, you know, for me at my age, I still had a bunch of years that I could still play, and the game had completely changed to where, you know, I really liked the way it was, right? And not a lot of responsibility, not a lot of defense, and now all of a sudden I'm Guy Carbonneau out there. And you just had to realize, you put your ego in check and go, all right, well, 50 goals is now 30, and that's pretty good. But, you know, your minus 30 goes to minus 15. It's really good too. So, but it was that way, and that's the way the game went. And I think everybody up here kind of, except for maybe the defensemen, because defense is defense, right? you know, with the, you play half the rink, pretty easy.
Hey, he only played half, too.
Oh, he only played half, too. Go ahead, Al. There's a mic right there.
If that.
Put that on there. That's a...
Hully would tap Prongs and I in the pads before the game and say, hey, guys, we'll see you after the game.
Now, Wayne, the time in St. Louis was short, but when you talked to a group of business people earlier this morning, you told the story, but somehow you've always had a link to this city even long before you got here, haven't you?
Yeah, you know, it's as everyone here knows, it's a wonderful city, and obviously with my family ties here, we've had a house here for years, and we spend a lot of time here. I'm a huge baseball fan and a huge hockey fan. So I go down to the hockey games periodically when I'm in town, and I like to go to the ball games. And I grew up listening to the St. Louis Cardinals on radio. We used to be able to pick them up on radio. And my first NHL game was in 1967. St. Louis Blues played in Brantford against the Pittsburgh Penguins. So somehow, some way, I always seem to get back to the roots of St. Louis and love being part of the community. It's a great city, and nobody is happier for the game of hockey and for the hockey fans of St. Louis that they were finally able to win a Stanley Cup.
Yeah, what an awesome run that it was. So 7 Hall of Famers up here, 7 amazing NHL careers. Only one was Rookie of the Year, and that was Peter Stastny. Now,
But he got to play against Carbo 15 times.
yeah.
Luckily, he wasn't in the league yet. He came following year. And it needs to be added that Wayne was ineligible with whatever league ruled, so he would be a rookie like anytime, anywhere. Just
Well, that's what jumps off the page at you is you realize that his first year in the league, you win the heart. But it was that year because of the WHA and the ineligibility part of it that Ray Bourque won it. So that's quite a couple of players that were rookie at the same time in the National Hockey League with you and Ray Bourque. And you guys probably head-to-head plenty of times over the years then, too.
Yeah, we played a lot. You know, the thing about hockey that's so amazing is that, you know, guys like Beliveau and Gordie Howe and obviously guys like Bobby Orr, and you think, oh my gosh, how are we going to replace those guys? And then along comes guys like Ray Bourque and Paul Coffey and Mark Messier, and same thing. And then comes Lemieux and Brett and what he did for St. Louis, and Yzerman, Messier. And then all of a sudden you get Ovechkin and Crosby and now Connor McDavid and Austin Matthews, and it just goes on and on. And so the greatest thing about our game is that the players keep getting better, but more importantly, the people who are in the game, the players in their communities, do so many great things. And we're so lucky at our game that the older guys have passed that on to us, and we pass on to the next guys, and it just keeps going. So we're all very proud of the NHL, and we're all very proud that we got to play in it.